Up is Riley, Bennett, Leggett, Gibbs, Connor, Worth, Spina. John Tobin is the captain. McLean, Hardy, Alchin, Simpkins and Tessman. Meantime, the Canterbury team looks like this. Potter, Gearan, Peterman and Chris Mortimer in the centres. Farah, Hagan, Lamb, Langmack. Steve Folkes is the captain. Phil Gill back in the top grade with Peter Kelly, Billy Johnston and David Gillespie. In the first round clash at Belmore, you might remember, both clubs came away with just one premiership point. It was a spine-tingling finish, an 18-all draw. Good quick passing by the Bulldogs. The Mortimers have played a big part in it. O'Brien's gone over the halfway. He's being chased, but he's been supported. Oh, beautiful football! Steve Mortimer to Terry Lamb. That was the old-fashioned Canterbury. The Steve Gearan's off for the corner. In and away, and he's home for a try. They've just got to pass this ball. There's a chance on in the corner for Chalice. He gets inside, he gets outside, he goes in. Wayne Chalice has scored. The chase and a half for Peter Mortimer. Bell's over the 22. Mortimer's got him and lost him. He's home for a try. Well, Canterbury pressing the panic button out on the other side of the ground. Spina, he scores adjacent to the uprights. And now let's take you to the Eastern Suburbs dressing room. Graeme Hughes with Arthur Beetson.
Arthur, unfortunately, a lot of team changes for an important match.
Well, it certainly is. It's disrupted our preparation, but I'm quite confident the blokes that fill in there tonight will handle the situation all right.
You talk about importance. I guess it's a grand final, but a hell of a lot earlier.
Well, it certainly is. It's a back-to-the-walls fight for us. We don't want to lose sight of those semi-final contenders, and if we do miss out, we'll be three behind the bunch. So we've got to win to stay in touch.
You seem to be striking Canterbury at a time when they're seemingly starting to find a bit of form.
Well, they have struck a bit of form. I watched them last week. They're playing very strong, but by the same token, if we can get out there and bust them into errors, we can cause an upset.
I know you're a busy man. Thanks for speaking with us. I'll let you get back to the side.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arthur. Eastern Suburbs coach Arthur Beetson. After this break, we're back with the kick-off.
And welcome back to the Sydney Cricket Ground for the kick-off to this match between Eastern Suburbs and Canterbury-Bankstown. East running right to left, and the ball is sent deep. Way down to Michael Potter coming out of the Paddington Hill corner, and he's taken in a very hard tackle. First contact in the match, and several Eastern Suburbs players you'll find wearing the Eastern Suburbs headgear. And in fact, in that tackle were two of them, Hardy and also Michael Alchin. Kick by Chris Mortimer, sending play back down to the wing occupied by Scott Bennett. Referee for this match tonight is Robin Whitfield. He's been in charge of some big matches, including the 83 English County Final, the 83 Wembley Cup Final. And in fact, he did the 83 series between Australia and New Zealand. He did 2 tests in that series. Penalty to Eastern Suburbs, and kicking for line, Todd Riley. As Arthur Beetson said to Graeme Hughes, his team chopped about with injuries and commitments to representative football. But one player that Beetson can't really say is out of this match because of his commitment to New Zealand is Alston Filipina, Rugby League's present-day enigma. This is Tessman. Play just outside the 22 line. Canterbury's into the ground. They're in the centre of the field. This is Mark McLean. Spina's a dummy half. Long ball to Gibbs, playing in the centres, playing in the headgear, number 4. Leggett's the dummy half now. Robert Simpkins is the hooker. Growing jumper number 24. He's wearing headgear, and 23 is Michael Alchin. He's also wearing headgear. You'll see him in a moment. Riley puts the bomb up. Eastern Suburbs going through on the chase, and Gibbs has come down with it. The turnover. Potter. Pulled down by McLean. Steve Hardy in number 10 makes the second tackle. And oh, gee, there was a heavy hit there. And Eastern Suburbs player Tessman went in on Gillespie, and Tessman certainly came out second best, the tackler. Gillespie, you'll recall, had a superb game against Manly
last Monday. Gillespie, he won the man of the match given by the players. Chris Mortimer again clearing. Good pressure there from Eastern Suburbs with the charge down attempt. And the blonde-headed winger Scott Bennett, he's going right across the ground trying to evade them, and he's paid the penalty of really running across the ground. You can go so far across, but you've got to straighten sooner or later. Otherwise, you're just wasting your own time and your own breath. The kick in general play is out on the full, so the scrum will go down deep into Eastern Suburbs territory. First scrum of the match. Very important match for both teams, Bill. Eastern Suburbs just out of the 5. Canterbury, of course, striving to stay in it and at the same time trying to make the vital top 3.
Well, it is an important game, particularly for Eastern Suburbs, but they haven't been setting the world on fire, and Canterbury should have too much class for them tonight, I feel, particularly out wide where we've got fellows like Peter and Chris Mortimer and Andrew Farrer, and they just look to have too much pace for their opposition.
Riley finding the line. Here's the tap taken through Spina. It's gone to Hardy and a big hit. Gillespie again made it. Good tackle by Gillespie. This is Simpkins. Tobin. Gary Worth playing at 5'8" for Easts. Here's McLean. In the first round from memory, Graeme Hughes, Easts gave Canterbury a start and then had to catch them. And as you know, it's not the best pastime in the world playing catch-up football, and it seems they've come out hungrier in the opening minutes of this match tonight.
Well, it's a do-or-die situation for them, Ray. They really are struggling to stay in touch with that 5. They can't afford another loss, and I like to look at this Canterbury side. I don't think East can afford to give them a start tonight. It's a much more balanced team selection-wise than I thought the side that took the field against Manly. I certainly like Terry Lamb back at half-back and Michael Hagan back in the position at 5'8", where he was getting all those raps some weeks ago.
Gee, I disagree with this ruling by Whitfield. That looked to come off a Canterbury player. I would have thought it was 6 more tackles for Eastern Suburbs. This is Hagan unloading to Peter Mortimer. Then he cuts out his brother. He's found Steve Gearan. He's tackled on the 22 line. Canterbury have spent the opening minutes basically in their own 22. And it's Steve Folkes, their captain, playing it. Billy Johnston turns it back to the open side. Kelly takes it ahead, but it's a very keen defence from Eastern Suburbs. Chris Mortimer again to clear, and again it was an enthusiastic hunt by the markers. This is Riley, very good young player. Bennett away from Folkes. He's made good meters there, about 5 or 6 of them. Now it's Spina. Terry Lamb making the tackle together with Billy Johnston. Tobin at dummy half. Might have been a knock on. There was. The referee saw it. And the scrum will go down a few meters on the east side of the halfway. Just see it again there. No question about it. Half break made by Paul Langmack. Way to Hagan. Steps off the left foot, gets into a little opening, turns it back. And referee Woodfield, I do believe, has given, yes he has, possession to the Roosters. Hagan's come out of that encounter clutching at his left shoulder. To lose him would be a big blow to Canterbury. He's a very talented young player. I'm sure one of the stars of the future. But he's not well, as you can see by those pictures we're taking of him. Lamb kicking now. He is not going to quite find the touchline. And Riley it is who play it back to Bennett. Leggett goes into dummy half, in the number 3 jumper. Gould driving in over the top, together with Folks. Gould preferred in this side for Canterbury by coach Warren Ryan over Brian Batiste. Here's Michael Potter, long floating pass taken in by Gearon. Gibbs chases inside for Lamb, further infield, but the referee has called it back. The ball went forward, says Whitfield. The crowd giving him the rounds of the kitchen, and the scrummers to pack down. The Tooheys replay, with East coming away now from the scrum. They're on their 32-metre line. Kyle Connor having played the ball. This is Simpkins, a man for all seasons. When you look back on his record, he played in the centres at Souths, he came to East, and he's played at front row when I last saw him. He's playing hooker tonight, and I think he's played second row. Bill, you'd know him better than I would.
Yes, and he's a player. He is a player that can handle all of those positions. He's built very low to the ground, and he can break a tackle. He's a good defender. He's got very good hands, and there's no reason why he won't slot in well at the hooker position. If he's going to have any problems, it's probably just in the area of scrummaging, and the days where you need a specialist hooker seem to have passed us by.
This is Michael Elton. Cross through Spina to Worth and away to Tobin. The defence, oh gee, Farah got him with his knees. That hurt Tobin. You could feel it up here, and Farah knew that he'd hurt him. I'm not prepared to say there was anything malicious in it. It was just the way they fell. Let's take a break with John Tobin getting attention. No score in Monday night attention. He's only just played the ball, and it's still no score at the Sydney Cricket Ground between Canterbury and Easts. And the referee giving Canterbury a penalty. So Andrew Farah coming across to take the line finder. 20 metres out from his own line. A big kicker is Farah. Eastern Suburbs Rugby League Club, this being their home match, would like to acknowledge the support of its major sponsor, City Ford. Nick Pilates, the managing director of City Ford, of course a keen supporter of Rugby League. And City Ford says, yes, more often. So we play on the halfway. Let's check footy tab and what might happen tonight. Here's John Croucher.
Yes, Ray, the dividend pool for tonight's match on Pick the Result is $20,000, with 70% of the fans going for a big Bulldog victory. In fact, the most popular score selected on the cards is Eastern Suburbs to score 10 points and Canterbury to score 24 points or more.
That's the way it is on footy tab on this Monday night. Phil Gould, grubber kicking ahead, and a good kick by Gould, finding touch deep inside the Eastern Suburbs 22. Well, there's not too many better players when it comes to ball control than Phil Gould, both off the boot and with the hands. He's certainly a true professional.
Well, he's come into the side to replace Brian Batiste, and they're two very contrasting players. Batiste is a strong, tireless defender. The other fellow's a ball player.
Beautiful ball play by Canterbury, right out through the centres. Gearon will score. Gearon plunges into that corner. The scoreboard corner. Touch judge having a quick word to the referee, and other touch judges coming across. I'm just waiting to see what this report is all about. It was Terry Lamb who stood in the tackle of Gary Worth before giving it out to Hagan. It went on to Potter, who made the extra man in the back line. And then the Mortimer brothers played their part before Steve Gearon was given the final pass. And he went into that scoreboard corner to pick up the first points of the match.
This was a try that could have been stopped on a number of occasions. The overlap was created by a missed tackle, but I thought the Eastern Suburbs defenders then came in too late to try and nullify a player with the ball.
Gearon, one of the best finishers in the game. And he's now going to attempt conversion of his own try from just a metre in from touch on the 22. The grand kicker of the ball is Gearon. 12.5 minutes of the match gone. With Guerin finishing off a beautiful backline raid by Canterbury. It was the perfect backline play, with the fullback in to make the extras. The half, the 5/8, the centres, the fullback and the winger all doing their job. And here's Guerin from the touchline. It's not got the length and falling short. And so, after 13 minutes of time gone, it's Canterbury-Bankstown 4. Eastern Suburbs yet to score. You're watching Monday Night Football, sponsored by Tui's, live from the Sydney Cricket Ground. Laurie Spina placing the ball for Todd Riley to kick off. It's gone straight down the middle of the ground, doing a bit of a dipsy-doodle, and Michael Hagan brings it out. 10 metres out from the Canterbury line. This is Folks. Bill Gould. He's lost it. And it'll be a scrum about 7 or 8 metres inside the Canterbury 22. Worse. Cutting out Gibbs, picking up Riley. Taken well by the centre, Peter Mortimer. This is Kyle Connor. Amazing how a season starts off and you look at the list of players a club has within its ranks. As a penalty is given to Eastern Suburbs against Canterbury for being inside the 5. And then as the season winds its way on, you come up with Eastern Suburbs. They had a tremendous list of names, but looking at this team tonight, names out there that at the start of the season you probably thought might never be seen in first grade. But congratulations to all of them. They've earned the rap from Arthur Beetson to wear the first grade jumper. Todd Riley taking this kick from close proximity to the uprights in front of the Bradman stand, and he should have little or no trouble getting it. He's only about 18 metres out, just off centre. He's certainly been one of the finds of the season, in my opinion, Todd Riley. Every time we've seen him, he's played exceptionally well. So Riley, a chance to bring it back to 4 points to 2. He hits it. He likes it. The touch judges award the 2 points. And so it's 4-2 in Monday Night Football. Canterbury leading. Monday Night Football. Welcome back. Canterbury 4, Eastern Suburbs 2, and it's Eastern Suburbs with the ball just inside their 22 as Simpkins comes away from dummy half. Let's get a match comment from our Robin Preston.
Well, I guess Eastern Suburbs are pretty hungry for a win tonight to stay in touch with the 5. But Canterbury seem to be moving the ball up pretty well, and I'd say they want to score the next few points on the board.
Kick ahead by Gary Worth. And Michael Potter takes it back. He's lost it. Chris Mortimer there to recover. Guerin. Canterbury letting their back see the ball. It's Kelly. Little handoff for Gould, and it was a pretty good tackle by Mike McLean. He took Gould, ball and all. Terry Lamb. Lamb's kick won't find touch. Riley taking it away from his quarter. Outside the 32. He's beaten the tackle by Langmack. Ball went in to make the head-on tackle, but he was beaten by Riley. Here's Bennett. Down to the halfway. That's good ground by Eastern Suburbs with just two plays.
Last week when we saw Canterbury-Bankstown playing against Manly, there was no way that Manly could break the watertight defence of Canterbury, 10 metres either side to play the ball, but that hasn't been the case tonight. While they might have picked up something in Phil Gould's ball play, they are missing Brian Batista's strength in defence around the rucks.
Penalty to Eastern Suburbs. He's caught Canterbury again inside the 5. And so Robin Whitfield, the English guest referee, gives the penalty to Easts. And they should find it down around the 22. So here's Simpkins taking the tap and taking it towards the centre, setting Eastern Suburbs up for whatever they're going for. It'll be probably on the third tackle. Here's Tobin now. He's 18 metres out, and again Simpkins is a dummy half. Here it is, a mini wall, if you like, and now they go back to the blind, come back to the open, and Riley is tackled just inside the 22. Stephen Hardy, dummy half. This is Gary Worth, and he's through. Gary Worth got one to beat. Oh, good tackle, Michael Potter. That was a try-saving tackle by Potter. Simpkins, a long pass. It's been taken there by Glenn Leggett. 5 tackles gone. They'll go to the air here, I would think. Now it's a big dummy by Scott Bennett. He's able to get it away through Kyle Connor. Put in the air by Stephen Hardy. Riley's there to contest it with number 23, Michael Alchin, but Canterbury come down with the ball. And so not only can the Canterbury players breathe easy, but so too can their fans. And we've got 2 Bulldogs sitting on the sideline at the moment. Graeme Hughes with Chris Anderson.
Thanks, Ray. I was about to say, Chris, an impressive start by Canterbury, but he's certainly surging back.
Yeah, he seemed very keen tonight. They're hunting up on the fence and some very hard hits.
Chris, you're back from England. You're the current coach of Halifax over there, and of course one man that had an impressive season over there and one man that's certainly showing the experience of the English season is Michael Hagan.
I think the season over there has been very good for Mike Hagan's confidence. I think he's always been a good player, but he just needed a little bit of change of football to bring out the confidence in him. English football is great for that, man. It's good to get over there and not have so much pressure on you, and Mick really shone out.
Well, as coach, you're probably in charge of the purse strings as well. How many former Bulldogs, old teammates, are taking back next English season?
There's plenty of them are very keen to go over, but unfortunately they've put a limit on it this year, and they can only allowed 4 players. So it makes it a little bit hard to make a choice.
Here's a big run by Eastern Suburbs, ending with Kyle Connor, but he's still able to get it inside to Gibbs. And Gibbs is tackled inside the 22 line. Worth. Spina. Gillespie making the tackle. Riley kicking into the M.A. Noble corner. He's found touch. There'll be a scrum go down about 5 or 6 metres away from the Canterbury line. Terry Lamb defeated. Oh, dear. I was about to make a comment on a blatant second row feed from Terry Lamb. It was too, no question about that, but most English referees, they'd turn a blind eye to it anyway. But that's fine as long as he's consistent. Nobody will be going crook. 4-2 the scoreline. Monday Night Football from the SCG Live. And here's Gillespie making a big bust outside the 22 line. Off a good pass from Terry Lamb. Now it's Kelly. Penalty to Canterbury. East inside the 5. He's not frightened to ping them when they're offside out wide, this fellow. That's the 4th penalty for the same reason against, of course, both sides. But it's good to see, in fact, with these... There's folks getting attention in the back lay, but it's good to see him prepared to keep them back to 5, not only close to the ruck, but out wide as well. 15 years as a former first grader, as the referee, Robin Whitfield. He played with the Widnes Club. Here's Brad Tessman away from a pretty ordinary tackle by Billy Johnston. And it's a good gain of about 10 metres. Bustling stuff from Tessman. I don't know about Steve Folkes as Canterbury goes on to the attack. Good tackle by Mike McLean there as Michael Hagan took it to the halfway, but Folkes has gone way over to the M.A. Noble corner, Folkes, and there's a hell of a...
Well, the Canterbury doctors come out to have a look at him, so he must be in some distress.
This is Phil Gould now with the ball. Potter takes it, first man off the ruck, and I see a stream of blood coming from a forehead gash that Michael Potter has suffered, and also he looks to be bleeding from the mouth as well. Mike Potter. And here's the kick through by Terry Lamb, a clash of Spina and Lamb. Bennett comes up with the ball. Steve Folkes back on his feet. He's obviously favouring the knee. Here's Tobin. Here's Gibbs to the halfway line. Riley. Good misunderstanding there with Eastern Suburbs. The dummy half not getting a call. If you don't hear a call, then the best thing you can do is get out of there yourself. A nice little kick by Spina. He almost had it. It's come down with Folkes. Canterbury leading 4-2. Nothing in this one. Here's Potter with the ball. Langmack. Paul Langmack over the halfway. A 20-metre run. Now, Gould it is who takes it ahead a further 5 metres. What's the story on Steve Folkes, Graeme?
Well, Ray, Jimmy Lease is just warming up behind me here. It's always a problem, of course, a major concern. Any knee injuries. The doctor from Canterbury thought it might have been a ligament.
Here's Guerin kicking in field. It's in the in goal for Spina to take it over the dead ball line. Line drop out to restart. Graeme, had you finished when I came in over the top of you?
Well, they believe he's strained the medial ligament, Ray. They were going to check him out at half-time, but it's obvious now that Warren Ryan's sending Jimmy Lease straight on in 21.
Jim Lease on in 21 for Steve Folkes. It's a blow to Canterbury because it doesn't matter who replaces Steve Folkes. You can bet your bottom dollar on one thing. He won't make as many tackles as Steve Folkes. Well, Phil Gould appears as though he's assumed captaincy out there. I was just thinking to myself, who's going to captain? And all of a sudden they had to make a decision as Canterbury got the penalty. Gould indicated that they were kicking for goal to the referee. Well, I'm not quite sure who'd be captain. Now I suppose he may well take over Phil Gould. Bill?
Well, I would think he would be. He's a very experienced player. He's captained first-grade sides in the past, and he's a player who other players would have confidence in to follow when he made a decision or when he made a call.
None from one for Steve Guerin, but that's nothing to worry about. His attempted conversion of his own try was right out on the touchline. And nighttime football, of course, the atmosphere can bog things down a little bit, the ball, the weight of the ball. And I was surprised Steve didn't have the length with his first shot from out there. And using that as the yardstick, he'll only just have the length from out here. He's 5 metres in, 22 metres out. The kick has got the height, and well, he had the length that time, but... Welcome back to the Sydney Cricket Ground. Eastern Suburbs getting off the hook with that attempted penalty by Steve Guerin. Scott Bennett actually had the ball just a metre out from the line.
I think it was probably the best thing that could have happened to Eastern Suburbs when they gave away the penalty and caused the shot in goal, because I had the feeling that some of their forwards were really struggling as far as fitness was concerned to get back into the defensive line. Canterbury went 40 or 50 metres in something like 4 play the balls, and it gave Eastern Suburbs the opportunity to have a breather and to reassemble themselves.
Gould. Down inside 32, kicks on the 22 for Terry Lamb. Lamb will score, I think. No, he couldn't get the hands to it. Spina again saves for Eastern Suburbs.
Well, the danger signs were there in the previous set of 6, and here it happened again. Gould skipped through a fairly flimsy tackle. He looked for support, couldn't find any, and so he sent a kick. Terry Lamb was looming up on the inside, as we often see him do, but he just couldn't come up with the ball.
So Spina was the man there to clean up an earlier kick ahead by Guerin. He was there again to cover the kick by Gould, so he's already earned his match payments. Now, Graeme, you've got an update on Steve Folkes?
Well, Ray, Steve Folkes is a guy that knows a lot about sports injuries himself, and as he was wandering off the field, he was looking very disappointed. I just yelled out to him what he felt happened out there, and he just said it was the ligaments, and they went.
Well, there it is. 4-2 the score to Canterbury.
4-2 the score, and things aren't looking good for Eastern Suburbs despite that scoreline. They've fallen off a lot of tackles, and I think the the next 11 minutes is going to be a long, long time for them to half-time. They're really doing it tough.
Gould. Already he's left his stamp on the match. Gould. Kelly. Langmack, beautiful passing. Lease, and away it goes to Hagan. Turns it inside there for Langmack. Langmack off the knees, gets the pass away to Hagan. Shrugs off a chest-high tackle. Floats the ball out to Peter Mortimer, the man they call the Parrot. He's tackled just outside the 22 line. Dummy half is Andrew Farrer. Across now, picked up by Terry Lamb. Shot for drop goal. Has he got it? No, just wide. So Canterbury throwing it all together. This was the end of it. He just hooked it a fraction. But they really made the ball do the work. And there's no better sight in rugby league than the modern-day Canterbury throwing the ball around. This is Brad Tester. I said it last week when we did the Canterbury-Manly match. At the end of the night, I think my final comments were, don't be surprised if they're doing the lap of honour again in 1985. And I'll tell you what, they are at succulent odds at the moment with those people that don't exist. Punters would know what I mean. Oh, that was a good tackle on Potter. Gibbs it was. He's a tough man, Gibbs. I've been critical sometimes of the way he goes about the execution of tackles, but that was perfectly legitimate. It was a good tackle on Potter. It jolted the young fullback. Been looking at Potter through the glasses. He's got blood coming from the mouth. He had some blood on the forehead, and he's a pale shade of white, Michael Potter. Lamb kicks in general play. Riley's back there for it. Todd Riley. Oh, look at Terry Lamb, would you? He's starting to find the form that made him the Dally M Player of the Year. Rothman's medalist a couple of years ago. Had a pretty ordinary start to the year, Terry, but I think it was that ankle. You agree with that, Graeme?
Well, he did start poorly, Ray. I've always liked Terry Lamb in the position he's playing tonight at halfback. I know Stevie Mortimer's out at the moment, but Steve's possibly nearing maybe one more season only at Belmore Sports Ground way, and I think that Terry Lamb's made to order to fit the bill.
Let's take a break. 4-2, Canterbury leading. Gillespie to play the ball as you come back to us from wherever you're watching Monday Night Football. Brought to you by Tui's. And Jim Lease in 21 playing at night.
There's been some fairly desperate defence here from Eastern Suburbs. Canterbury have been finding little breaks just like this one, but as we see here, they've been unable to quite finish them off, and credit to Eastern Suburbs, they've been covering very well for one another.
Worth. Here's Bennett going in looking for work. I've liked the things that Bennett's done here tonight. First time I've seen him play in the top grade, and I think he's done well on the occasions he's been given the ball. And the other thing I like about him is he's a winger who just doesn't stand out there minding his own business. He goes and looks for something. Worth kicks. And he's not put it across there far enough, and Potter's with it on the 22. Now he's to the 32. Thought about passing it too. It was a dangerous place to be passing it. And here's Guerin now, cleaned up by Tobin and Gibbs. Across for Hagan. Now to Lamb. With Daisy. A little bit of dew on the ground, and Lamb lost his footing. That's an East ball. Mike McLean worked hard for it. He got the reward that he was looking for. And 24 takes it ahead. That's Simpkins. I haven't done a match with so many players in headgear. I'll tell you what, it is very much a case of having to call the match from numbers, something that I don't like having to do, to be honest with you, but with the headgears on, you can't look at their heads. They all look the same. Blue with the red rooster. Played by Gary Worth. Across now from Spino. It's out with Stephen Hardy and gone to Todd Riley. 5 tackles gone. Spino will go for the air here. Kick going down to Mike Potter. Bennett came through very fast. Was he onside? No, he wasn't. He was in front of the kicker, therefore he had to stay outside the 5. Tell you what, I've done a few international matches with Pommy referees and Frenchmen. This bloke's probably the easiest of the lot that I've, had the problem of following. He's easy to follow, Whitfield.
He's been very inconspicuous tonight. He's a referee who you don't notice, but he's quietly going about his job.
Yeah, but Bill, do you know what I'm talking about? Some of them wave their arms about. You don't know what they're saying. But this bloke's been easy to follow, Whitfield. And no handkerchief, Bill.
No, as a matter of fact, there's a funny story on that, but we might relate that if he uses it.
Kelly's lost it. Simpkins comes up with it. This young Alchin in 23, Bill, is he the son of
Yes, that is
former East winger?
That is mixed, boy, and he's a player who's come through junior football. He's made a lot of representative teams, and he's certainly a player that Arthur Beetson's had his eye on for a while, and he's got his opportunity tonight, and he'll be trying to make the most of it.
Long ball out for Spina. It turned out to be too long, too fancy. Scoreline 4-2. Here's a short break. Don't go away. So as we let you, the scrum went down and a penalty was given to Canterbury-Bankstown. Farrow took the kick. He didn't find the line, and this is the second tackle on a set of 6 for Eastern Suburbs. Here's Riley, about 12 metres on his side of the halfway.
And while the score's 4-2 in favour of Canterbury-Bankstown, I think that Coach Warren Ryan would be far from happy with the way his charges are playing. Canterbury have made a number of mistakes in attack and defence, and some simple errors, such not putting the ball out from kicks, would be certainly making him disgruntled.
Scrum backing, about 8 metres on the east side of the halfway. If you think he's disgruntled, how do you think Arthur's going to be?
I think Arthur might have come here in a different frame of mind to Warren Ryan. Arthur would have been hoping his boys would produce the sort of football they are, and he'd be happy they're still in this game at half-time.
That's an important scrum win for Eastern Suburbs against the feed, and that's a good run by Gary Worth. He looked very smart as he made a run of about 35 metres. Now it's with Tobin. Captain John Tobin for Eastern Suburbs. Play just outside the 22. About 3 1/4 minutes of time remaining, first stanza. Hardy. Hesitating run there by Stephen Hardy. He softened off as he came to the defence line. This is Spina, and now it's Simpkins. A good pass from him out to Tasman. Spina's feeding off him on the outside. Picked up on the half volley by Leggett. Leggett is tackled just inside the 22. Pressure moments here for Canterbury as Tasman goes to the blind just for a step, then takes another 5 metres of ground. In fact, it was more than that. Now they're about 12 metres out. Last tackle. Bennett gets it away to Worth. Worth puts up the bomb, and Gearin is there to take it nicely, and he's going to be forced in goal. He is, in fact. It's a line drop out to restart it. No pressure on Gearin. I was disappointed with the chase that Eastern Suburbs gave that kick by Spina, or Worth it was. Barra now for the dropout. Riley taking it. And this is Kyle Connor going back with it. Tackle on the 32-metre line. McLean. Tasman, Spina, Tobin. Chance here. Oh, good tackle by Billy Johnston. But Eastern Suburbs had the numbers. Now they've got the penalty. And it's an easier kick this time for Todd Riley than when he brought up the first points for the Roosters. Look at Billy Johnston. It was a gut-busting tackle by Billy Johnston to stop a certain try, in my opinion, because Tobin had support left and right, and it was going to be a real dilemma situation for Michael Potter. There's a few tackles in this match will go down as try-savers. Potter made one early in the match, and Billy Johnston has just made another. The support was there for East's captain John Tobin. Hairy decisions, or should I say hairy moments in this match. Spina had to clean up a couple of kicks, one by Gearin, one by who was it, Terry Lamb, or was it Phil Gould? Tackles by Johnson and Potter.
It's not the Canterbury-Bankstown team we saw last week. They've missed a lot of tackles, and some of those have been around the rucks where they've characteristically been their strongest.
A windless night at the cricket ground. Riley from right in front. And he's got it. So the scoreline is 4 points all. Canterbury and East, 4-4. Monday night, live, brought to you by Tooheys. During the break tonight, I'll just be taking a quick look at the 5 teams currently at the top of the table. We'll take a look at some of the personalities that have been fairly responsible for the position their clubs occupy in the Winfield Cup race at the moment. That's coming to you on the other side of this commercial break. Okay. And welcome back to the Sydney Cricket Ground. You're watching Monday Night Football. And while waiting for the players to come back out for the second stanza, let's go back and have a look at what's happened in the Winfield Cup as we view towards the grand final at the end of September. I think everybody would agree the teams in the top 5 at the moment certainly appeal as those that might be there on that major day in rugby league each year. Of course, those clubs are St George, Balmain, Parramatta, Canterbury and Manly. And let's have a look at each of the clubs, starting off, of course, with head-of-the-table club St George. And we feature 2 of their stars in 85, Steve Linnane and Mike O'Connor.
O'Grady. A little kick ahead for O'Connor. O'Connor, he'll score. Oh, that's a sensational try. That's great stuff. That's tremendous rugby league. Michael O'Connor, the try scorer. Graeme O'Grady using the little kick over the top. And O'Connor regathers on the full. Here's Jarvis. Morris trailing him through. Getting a pass away. And Linnane has gone in. The halfback has scored.
Balmain follows St George on 26 points. And 2 players who featured in prominent roles are Ross Conlon and Russell Gartner.
Desperate defence by Parramatta. As Balmain, they're holding all the aces at the moment. Hit the bench, and away for Schofield. Gartner, he scores! Gartner goes in for Balmain's second. Look at the angle. There it goes. I think he's got it. Yes, he has. A big kick by Ross Conlon.
As well on 26 points, jointly with Balmain, are Parramatta. And 2 of their mainstays this year have been the champions of long times, Michael Cronin and Ray Price.
Here's Price, inside the quarter. Roth is steaming for the line. Sheer attacking pressure.
Price.
Cronin, running off a Price special. Here's Kenny. Kenny in the middle of the ground, looking for Atkins. He finds him, and Atkins is crunched from behind.
The 84 premiers Canterbury have been well served by Chris Mortimer in the backs and, of course, Steve Folkes as usual in the forwards.
And Peter Johnston gallops into an opening, passes. Jerry Lamb's taken it. It's gone back to Folkes. Folkes is going to score. Is he? Yes, he's over. It's a try to Folkes. A try to Stephen Folkes. As the ball is spun by Canterbury through Andrew Farrell after Chris Mortimer. Lydiard makes the tackle. Steve O'Brien gets around Graham Atkins. And O'Brien has done magnificently as he gives it inside for Michael Potter. Potter gets the pass away. Backing up was Chris Mortimer.
Manly are in 5th spot on 21 points and have always needed the hard running of both Noel Cleal and Chris Close and the pivot control of halfback Des Hasler.
This is Daly into Hasler. Hasler, he'll score. Hasler scores for Manly. Des Hasler scores and the Eagles go to a 12-6 lead. Cleal. Away from Lamb. Oh, he's picked up Close. Close is like a runaway tram. He'll score. Close. Close and Cleal. They put it together back to back. And Close has scored.
Back at the Sydney Cricket Ground, live, the match between Canterbury and Eastern Suburbs, and the scoreline level at 4 points all. Try for Canterbury, scored by Steve Guerin. That came after 12 minutes and 2 penalties for Todd Riley. And let me remind you that we've got a treat in store for you Immediately following the football tonight, Robert Redford takes on the system and he tries to reform the corrupt-ridden Wakefield prison in Brubaker. A great actor in a great movie. You look at me and you're smiling. I saw the movie. It's
one of my favourite movies.
So there it is, the kick-off down. Oh, and Alchin has made a knock on of it. Penalty to Canterbury.
He threw the ball away.
Winfield making the gesture of that oval thing, that little leather thing. You threw it away, Lewin. So it's a penalty to Canterbury. Guerin from the 22 line, 10 metres in. I'll tell you what, could prove to be a very costly 2 points for throwing the ball away. It could even seal the fate of Eastern Suburbs in 1985. Particularly with a bloke like this kicking from just 22 out. Admittedly, he's on an angle. Plenty want to take odds on that he'll get it, though. Here he comes. Oh, easy. Easy. Well, there it is. 2 points to Guerin. Just 90 seconds into the second half. He's coming back to take a quick kick-off.
They were looking to take a quick kick-off, but Mr. Whitfield insisted that they weren't allowed to take it until all Canterbury-Bankstown players were back inside. There were a couple of them inside the 10 metres, and he refused to let Eastern Suburbs restart.
Potter immediately giving it to Farah. Why wouldn't you use Andrew Farah to take it back? One of the biggest and strongest backs in the game. Jimmy Lease. Quite a memorable scoreline for Canterbury. That was the way it finished on Grand Final Day 1984. Gould had to hurry that kick, and it's Eastern Suburbs with it. That's McLean who'll play it. Leggett. Well, he took it up soft and paid the penalty. Gillespie hit him with everything bar his back teeth. Bennett was well taken by Simpkins. The ball was given to him pretty hard. Here's Leggett. He's a busy player, Simpkins. You know, he mightn't be the flashiest player in the game, but by Jove, I tell you what, he's got through some work here tonight. Everywhere the ball's been, so has Robert Simpkins. Spina. One of the few Eastern Suburbs players who can win this match for Eastern Suburbs with a solo performance that we may see from him later in this half. Langmack coming up with the ball. A bad bounce for East. Here's Kelly. Gillespie. Gould. There's a good tackle on Gould by McLean. He's made a couple of good tackles tonight. Simple pattern there by Canterbury from inside their own territory. 3 or 4 plays to the open and then the kick. Bennett to play. Spina. Leggett on his own quarter. Gillespie again the tackle. Spina. Thought he saw what might have been a chance between Jim Lease and Peter Kelly. That's the sort of play that you expect from Laurie Spina as Steve Hardy bustles his way down the ground. Oh, Gary Worth was thinking about where he was going to find the touchline rather than catching the ball first. It's very very much a chronological sequence. Watch the ball, catch it, and then kick it. He had a kick before he caught it. Lamb to feed. And then Lamb and Hagen fed alternate scrums in that first half on occasions. Here's Hagen promoting the ball out to Peter Mortimer. On it goes to Farah. A nice centre kick. Is there any chasers there? It's an easy bounce for Ron Gibbs, and he's tidied up there by Lamb and Hagen.
Well, that was a bad decision by Farah under pressure to centre kick. I think that a centre kick is okay when it's on, but Farah didn't look to see if he had any chasers coming down the middle. He didn't. He kicked the ball, and Eastern Suburbs got easy possession from it.
Riley kicks. Gearan plays at the ball. Everybody's onside now. And Gearan easily around Leggett, and he's gone back inside the 22 on the first tackle. So it's a pressure moment here for Eastern Suburbs, with Gould throwing the dummy, coming back to the blind side. Jimmy Lease supports him, and Lease is tackled 12 metres out from the east line. Trouble here for the Roosters as Johnston spins it wide to Lamb, on to Hagen, cuts out Peter Mortimer, finds Chris Mortimer, but that's a good tackle by John Tobin. He read that very well, the lock forward. Here's Hagen on the quarter-way line. Langmack. Gillespie. Lamb. Johnston. Grubber kick from Billy Johnston. Desperate times for East. And grounded in goal by Scott Bennett. So a line drop out for Eastern Suburbs to restart it. Another of the little skills that Billy Johnston's got there that we don't often see.
In that set of 6 tackles, Canterbury-Bankstown tried to create something to come up with a try, and I'm sure in this set of 6 they'll do it again. And the players we can look for are fellows like Phil Gould. He's an excellent reader of play, a good organiser. He's got excellent hands, and he'll be trying to initiate something for his runners.
And there's a touch judge come in, so it's pretty obviously a Canterbury offender. Mike McLean has gone down on the 22. And it was Andrew Farah who was involved in the play. I remember McLean tackling Farah. There seemed to be a bit of resentment from Farah. Here's the tackle. Farah went in and McLean went for him. It looked like there might have been a little bit of a forearm in it. The penalty's been given to East, and it's against that man at the back of your screen there, if I can use that way of describing it, Andrew Farah. He's put Farah in the sin bin. Obviously, Farah said something to the touch judge that reported him, and he's put Andrew Farah in the sin bin for 10 minutes. Well, we've seen a couple of stupid things here in the second half. The East player penalised for throwing the ball away, cost East 2 points. Stupid stuff. And Andrew Farah has obviously said something to the touch judge, who just simply trotted in and said, "He just called me something." And so another penalty goes to Eastern Suburbs. Well, now they can kick for goal.
Well, there's no other way to describe that but undisciplined football. A penalty in possession when they had the ball, then back chat cost them another 40 metres, and now inside the 10 metres has cost them the shot for goal.
31 minutes of the match remaining, and in the last 9 minutes, a couple of things have happened here in first grade rugby league that just shouldn't happen, really. Two from 2 for Riley, but I don't think Todd would have his chest blown out over the 2 that he got. I reckon one of the Rockettes could have kicked them. This is more difficult for him. 12 metres in, 24 metres out, stabs it. He's got it. Good kick by Todd Riley. 3 from 3, and 6-all is the scoreline. Monday Night Football. Eastern Suburbs with the ball, 6 points all. This is Riley, the man who's given Eastern Suburbs all of those points. 3 goals from 3 attempts. And Mike McLean was running as a decoy. That's a knock-on. Well, he's ruled it knocked backwards, but it was definitely a knock-on from Hughes.
While all that's been happening, John Tobin's come from the field. The Eastern Suburbs doctor is looking at him very closely, and it looks at something in the cheekbone or the jaw area.
There's John Tobin being inspected. And, oh yes, Bennett down to the 32-metre line. The kick over the top, he regathers Bennett. Can he get rid of the ball now? Michael Potter hitching the ride. Spectacular play there by the East winger. Canterbury really at 6s and 7s as Brad Tessman takes it within 8 metres of the line, less than that. 5 tackles gone against the Roosters. Away now for Gary Worth. He puts up the bomb. Some pressure here for a front rower. No, it's no try. It came off one East player to another in front of him. And he's taking it out to the 22-metre line for the restart. Well, the crowd are booing, but the way I saw it is the way I describe it. It came off one East player to another in front of him. And so it's a let-off for Canterbury.
I thought it was a good decision by Whitfield, and it added to what already has been a good display tonight.
Lamb. Hagan. Lamb. What's the story on John Tobin, Graeme?
Well, Ray, it was only just a few, or about 4 or 5 weeks ago when Tobin, remember, had that bad eye injury where he tore a tear duct. Apparently he's happened the same injury again, and the Eastern Suburbs bench has already called for a replacement.
Penalty to Eastern Suburbs. Here's the Tooheys replay. Well, he must have penalised Kelly for lashing out, did he? I was preoccupied with listening to what Graeme was telling us about Johnny Tobin.
Kelly lashed out with his foot in the play of the ball, and there wasn't much in it really, but Whitfield was right on the spot and decided that it deserved a penalty.
Played by Tobin. On the Canterbury 22, the defending premiers, they're in a bit of bother here, 6 points all, and really the second half has been all Eastern Suburbs piling pressure on, and here's Spina looking for that hole.
I think Eastern Suburbs could be working the ball to the wing where Andrew Farrer was playing, because no one's covered for him on that side of the field.
Here's Simpkins, a player who's played very well. Oh, that was a real chance for them had Tessman been able to hold it. Played by Lamb, spun by Johnson, away to Jimmy Lease. And talking of Lease and remembering that the Australians are currently in New Zealand, it's not so long ago when Jimmy Lease from Western Suburbs burst onto the international arena. 1 year in Sydney football and then the green and gold to New Zealand. Here's Lamb. Outside the 22, he picks up Peter Mortimer. He's tackled midway, 22 halfway. Canterbury's end of the ground. Canterbury feeding it back for Chris Mortimer to kick. As we take your sidelines, Graeme has got with him Kevin Hastings.
Kevin, plenty of commitment from this Eastern Suburbs side tonight.
100% better effort than the last couple of weeks, Graeme.
Canterbury have had the better of the game territorially, but of course a loss tonight could easily prove to be the end for the Roosters.
Well, that's right. With Canterbury, with Canberra, and also Penrith winning on the weekend, it makes it hard. We have to win tonight.
In a tight one at Belmore in the first round, it was Laurie Spina that pulled it out for East. Would he be the guy likely to break this Canterbury defensive line?
Well, yeah, we've got another player out there, Robert Simpkins, who can make a bust most time he touches the ball, so we're looking to him as well.
What about Kevin Hastings? What's the future of that arm injury?
3 more weeks in plaster, and we'll see what happens then.
Thanks for speaking with us.
Thanks, Graham.
Gary Worth kicking for the line, but Potter's there to cover it and comes outside the 22. He got around Bennett, was picked up by Tobin. Lease now 8 metres short of the halfway. He doesn't get many raps from the people looking for the players scoring tries and what have you, but John Tobin has made a couple of valuable tackles out there tonight. He's playing, as you've heard, with a problem, but Some of his tackles have been bone jarrers, and he's been able to read the play. He came up with a tackle out in the centres when Canterbury were really hot early in the second half. Penalty to Canterbury for that incident you saw on the Tui's replay. East to replacement, Graeme?
Jim Harvey and 21 for Johnny Tobin. That's unfortunate, but I believe, as I said from the Eastern Suburbs doctor, Ray, this is a major eye injury.
Canterbury. They've withstood most of the pressure. Paul Langmack. Hagan showing it and flicking it back into the middle for Gillespie. Now it's Johnston. The ball going loose, but Potter's recovered for Canterbury. Hagan really turning on the fancy stuff then. His lease, he took a knock on the head then, Jim. Johnston, Lamb, Hagan. Dummies back to his halfback partner, and Hagan is crunched over the top by Gibbs. Simpkins it was, in fact. Lamb puts in the kick, and I think he's found it. Yes, he has. I thought for a moment he might have found the touch in goal, but it's a 5-metre scrum, so real pressure for East. As I see Andrew Farrer coming back from the bin, but there's the kick on replay for you and for Tui's from Cherry Lane. There's the man looking at the stopwatch. He'd be the Eastern Suburbs official. And nobody will be watching the clock keener than an Eastern Suburbs official at the moment. Penalty to Easts. Riley finding the line midway 22 halfway on the east end of the ground. Brad Tessman. This is Harvey on for Tobin. Is Andrew Farrer getting back out there? Spina. Gary Worth probing for the opening, looking for a runner on his left, but Mike McLean was a little bit late in arriving. Players getting back towards the halfway. Here's McLean running with the ball up to the halfway line. Spina's gone to dummy half. He's looking all the time, Spina, like a very good dummy half should. Always having a look at the numbers left, numbers right, looking for that opening, looking for a shortage of players. Gearan. Tackled by Harvey in 21. This is Chris Mortimer getting it out. And again Harvey makes the tackle. Scrums and penalties, 6-3 the scrums to Canterbury, 10-7 the penalties to Easts. And another scrum is about to pack down. 6 points all, nothing in it, and as you heard at the start of the night, an 18 points all draw in their first round encounter. Now they're going to put draws back to back. The East Canterbury clash. Clashes of 1985, I should say. Hagan, Peter Mortimer snatched at the ball. Gary Worth comes up with it for Eastern Suburbs. Harvey's the dummy half. Steve Mortimer, of course, one of the players who's unable to play while the Kangaroos or the Australians are in New Zealand. And a short ball, and Gary Worth almost through. He was felled by a desperate ankle-tapping tackle by Terry Lamb. This is Michael Alcham away from Chris Mortimer's high tackle. He got a good pass away, though, through Connor. It's with Simpkins, taken by the front rower Gillespie and the hooker Johnston. 5 tackles gone now for Eastern Suburbs. They'll probably put the bomb up, or maybe the drop goal. He's gone for the drop goal, and he's got it. He's got it. Who was it? Todd Riley. Todd Riley kicks the field goal, and Eastern Suburbs go to a 1-point lead. 7 points to 6 in favour of the Tricolours from Bondi. minutes of the match remaining. And now, can Eastern Suburbs hang on to a 1-point lead and, naturally enough, a semi-final hope? Tremendously important game for both clubs, but obviously it's a more dangerous situation for Easts if they were to lose. Let's take a break with a player injured. 7-6 in Monday Night Football, East leading. Didn't miss anything apart from the fact that Jim Harvey received some attention. He's just played the ball as we welcome you back. A charge down by Canterbury. Gary Worth picking it up. 6 more tackles now for Eastern Suburbs. And here's Ron Gibbs going away from dummy half. Just the 1 point the difference. Eastern Suburbs, of course, they're the ringmasters at the moment. They can call the tune. Here's Spina looking for the opening. And tense moments out there, Graeme, for both sides.
Well, tense moments especially for Canterbury, Ray. They're the side that territorial have had the better of the game, but mentally that can play tricks on your mind. The scoreboard was starting to show to them that they weren't coming up with the points on the board. And I think they're just starting to rush things. They're coming up with too many errors when in possession. What they've got to do, if they get the possession from this scrum, is just hit it up through the forwards, then play the ball out wide through the backs. That's where they looked impressive early on.
Lamb feeding the scrum, and East have got the ball. So again, Canterbury have lost the scrum against the feed. It's gone out quickly to Riley into the back line, and he's swamped there by Jim Lease and Terry Lamb. Riley to play it away from the dummy half to Worth. Wide ball out there, and Worth comes around Connor to take the play 30 metres out from the Canterbury line. Eastern Suburbs leading by 1 point, 7-6. This is Glenn Leggett. Dummy half is Stephen Hardy. Spina wants it. Here he is with the ball. Cuts out Tessman around the back for McLean. McLean driven by Lamb. The ball loose, and it'll be a knock-on.
That was a loose ball that Canterbury should have tidied up. They shouldn't need to be going into this scrum in order to get possession. There's no doubt that they're panicking very much about the outcome of this game. They've got to settle down, and maybe the judicious use of replacements by coach Warren Ryan could help them. I feel that a player like Darryl Broman is the sort of man that could turn the match in the Bulldogs' favour.
Jerry Lamb, 10 metres on his own side of the halfway penalty to Canterbury. Not allowing the player to get up and play the ball. Andrew Farrer kicking for touch as you see the Tooheys replay of East players not getting off the man tackle. This match, of course, an Eastern Suburbs home game transferred to tonight. And the East Rugby League Club would like to acknowledge the support of its major sponsor, City Forward. Nick Polides, managing director of City Forward, a keen supporter of league, and so too is City Forward, naturally enough. City Forward says yes more often. Play just outside the East 22 line. Easts desperately clinging to a 1 point lead, which will mean, of course, for them 2 premiership points. Terry Lamb was decked in the back play. I don't know whether it was late. Did you see it closely, Graeme, down there?
He was definitely hit well after he released the ball, Ray.
Well, he's getting some attention. The touch judge hasn't moved yet. It's gone over to Hagan to give to Lease, and Lease is tackled on 5 just outside the East 22 line. Across now for Hagan again. He puts up the kick. Here's Riley coming across, takes it nicely in the M.A. Noble corner, and here goes the touch judge. He didn't miss the incident involving Terry Lamb, as we see Todd Riley taking the bomb. But don't be surprised if a penalty is given here to Canterbury. In fact, I think he sent him. Has he sent him off? Yes, Gibbs has been given his marching orders.
10 minutes.
10 minutes in the bin, is it? 10 minutes in the sin bin for Gibbs. And I'll come back to a point just outside the 32-metre line to give the penalty. Here was Lamb. The ball's gone for an age. Gibbs came in late, and Lamb goes to ground. In fact, looking at the replay, Gibbs, after setting himself to make the hit, he fell off it. And it was a gentle hit, if you like, although looking at Terry Lamb, he doesn't think it was too gentle. I'll give you the budget. Are you sure it was 10 minutes in the bin, Bill? Fine. Gearan has the chance to boot Canterbury to a 1 point lead. 1 from 3 so far for Gearin, but his attempts at goal have been much more difficult than the ones that Todd Riley has landed for Eastern Suburbs. He kicked a harder one than this earlier tonight. He's 35 metres out. He's only about 15 metres off centre. Here he comes. Steve Gearin, prolific point scorer. He's got it. Yes, the flags are up. Canterbury, 1 point in front again. It's 8 points to 7. Back at the cricket ground, Canterbury with the ball from the kick-off by Eastern Suburbs. And now it's Eastern Suburbs. They're doing the chasing. Oh, and Phil Gould has lost it. Coming up with the ball is Mike McLean.
And Canterbury rushed the play again there, and it wasn't necessary. They're the ones that are in front. They could have just settled things down, held the ball with no nonsense, no frills football for 5 tackles, and then driven it downfield. But there's some panic that's crept into their play. They've got to settle down, the Bulldogs.
Here's Bennett. Here's Steve Mortimer watching anxiously still. And why wouldn't he be? 1 point, of course, it's handy to have it on your side, and he's got it at the moment, but gee, it's certainly not very conclusive. That pass was forward. Kyle Connor goes down the touchline, turns it inside for Chris Mortimer, and justice has been done, although now he's gone into touch, so it'll be a scrum. It'll be an east feed too. The pass was forward, back down the ground some 30 metres. It was that pass that went to Kyle Connor. And a penalty to Canterbury. Eleven and a half minutes of the match remaining. Andrew Farrer finding the line. About 5 metres on the Canterbury side of the halfway. Match comment, Graeme Hughes.
Well, Ray, it's even more important now to repeat again what I said just a few moments ago. Canterbury don't have to rush things. Eastern Suburbs are a man short. What you do is you just take the ball up simply 3 or 4 times through the forwards, then spread the ball out wide. East are missing a back, so their defensive line should be in some sort of disarray, and they should be looking for the gaps out wide.
Here's Langmack with the ball. Penalty to Canterbury. 5 metres on the east side of the halfway. Langmack not allowed to get up and play the ball. In fact, Mike McLean pulling him back to the ground. And Farrer is going to kick for line. Gearin was coming across. I think Gearin's a little bit puzzled as to why he wasn't asked the question. In fact, I don't think anybody asked him. It's a great kick by Farrer. He's found touch about 8 metres out from the east line. It might turn out to be a great decision made by whoever it was for Canterbury, whoever it was who didn't consult Steve Gearin. Apparently the orders came from the bench to kick for line. I guess they're weighing it up on the fact that he wouldn't have got it dead if he had have missed it. Here's Farrer. 2 metres out. Johnston is a dummy half. Wide out there for Jim Lease, and Lease is tackled 8 metres out from the line. Eastern Suburbs trailing by a point. Lamb, away it goes to Hagan. Oh, beautiful ball by Hagan to Langmack to Peter Mortimer. He gets the pass away for Terry Lamb, and that's a great try. That's a beautiful piece of work by Canterbury. Whether you follow the Bulldogs or not, I'll tell you what, there was some tremendous running, passing and support football here, and the little man that just gave that ball, Terry Lamb, and that fellow Michael Hagan, they played very big parts in it. Peter Mortimer, he was fine, but Terry Lamb, he just stayed alive and he continued to pursue the football.
There are some tries that are almost impossible to stop, and this was one of them. It went through some great sets of hands. Here the pass was got away by Peter Mortimer. The ever-present Terry Lamb backed up and did the rest for them.
Langmack, he was the man who came off a gem of a pass from Michael Hagan, and then Lamb, handling twice, backs up Peter Mortimer to score the try. to score the match-winning try. 12 points to 7. 18 metres out. About 15 metres off centre is Steve Gill. 8 1/4 minutes of time remaining. And the kick by Guerin successful. So Canterbury-Bankstown leading now by 14 points to 7. And yes, Terry, it is a case of thumbs up. And good one, Steve Guerin. That's what he was saying. So the ball kicked deep by Todd Riley. I thought he might have gone for the shallower kick-off, giving his chance side to come up, a chance to come up with possession. Gould, about 5 metres out from their own 22. Canterbury and Gillespie running hard, looking left, looking right. It was just unfortunate that he looked right when he should have been looking left. Billy Johnston to near the halfway. The kick now for Chris Mortimer. Riley. Tessman. This is Worth, or Connor it is. Now it's Spina. Just under 7 minutes of time remaining. Bennett. Played by Simpkins. Worth's kick going down to Steve Guerin. And Guerin tackled by Michael Elchin. Chris Mortimer, across to Johnston, away now to Hagan. Here's Gould. Barring the last couple of moments, Robin Preston, it's been as close as rugby league matches come.
Well, it has been a pretty exciting match. I thought actually East were having a good kicking game first off, but Canterbury-Bankstown have come back pretty hard, and they seem to have managed to score the points that need the win for this evening.
This is Leggett. Simpkins to Tessman. Tessman a big run outside the 32. Now he's looking for support in vain. Bad support from Eastern Suburbs. Two of their better players, Simpkins and Tessman, they put it together, and then all of a sudden Brad Tessman found himself like a shag on a rock. Nobody with him at all. Good work by Tessman in that play and also through the night. I've been tremendously impressed with him and Simpkins. Here's Harvey. Gibbs is back on the field in jumper number 4 after being in the sin bin for 10 minutes. 5 tackles gone now for the Roosters. Kick by Gary Worth, taken in by Michael Potter. And he's brought down and tackled by Gary Worth. Here's Andrew Farrer. Peter Mortimer. A tackle made by Bennett out on the far flank. Just a reminder of the movie To Follow the Football. It's the one starring Robert Redford, the old heartthrob himself in Brubaker. Gee, it's a good movie, let me tell you. Ball played by Hagan. This is Lamb. Down inside the 22, coming up with the ball is Todd Riley. Tessman, away from a shoulder attempted tackle there by Langmack. Bennett giving it out to Leggett. Leggett making good ground down to the halfway. The pass around the corner. Players going every which way. And the referee rules Canterbury ball. Player down injured. Let's take a break. The scoreline at the cricket ground, 14-7 to the Bulldogs. Back at the cricket ground, this player still receiving attention. Michael Hagan it is. That was the incident that brought about the injury for Mike. As I said, there was a flurry of passes from East and players became entangled. This fellow's played well, David Gillespie. He made some pretty heavy tackles in the early part of the match. Here's Gould now. And we're inside the last 5 minutes. No matter what the result of this match, the little man, well, he's not little, he's built close to the ground, Robert Simpkins. Whatever happens, he's in jumper number 24. He's at second marker now. I know one thing, Coach Arthur Beetson will be tremendously pleased with his effort tonight. 5 tackles gone for Canterbury. Here's Lamb putting the kick into the in-goal area, and it's going to go over the dead ball. No, it's not. It's a very deep in-goal here, and Kyle Connor's going to be trapped. I thought in-goal, but no, he's just back into the field of play. Here's Riley. Penalty to East. Todd Riley kicks the touch. He's found it. It was a fairly adventurous kick by Riley from so close to the touch line. He's found it out on the 22. And here's Simpkins taking it ahead again. 32 metres out from the east line. Spina. Tessman. Gibbs. 14-7 in favour of Canterbury. They're set down for the match of the round next weekend against Balmain. And the match is for Belmore. And that's our NEC big game next Sunday. Next Monday night's football is Parramatta and Souths. And what's the Saturday game? The match down the
Canberra-Penrith.
Canberra-Penrith. Here's Spina. Wild pass by Laurie Spina, picked up by Glenn Leggett. Pass taken by Worth, and this is real desperate stuff from Eastern Suburbs. McLean going down the ground, finding Bennett, back inside from McLean, and he's lost the ball. Canterbury with it. Just on their side of the halfway. Sarah. Gillespie. 14-7 in favour of Canterbury-Bankstown. Just a matter of probably a couple of minutes left, if that, in the match. Talking of David Gillespie, he had a big match here last Monday night, and it earned for him a 2-year contract. In fact, there's the siren sounding, so it was the briefest 2 minutes that I've seen in a long time. But Canterbury defeating Eastern Suburbs by 14 points to 7. Gearan and Lamb tries, Gearan 3 goals. And Riley.
Fantastic.
Welcome back to the SCG. Monday Night Football is our Tui's man of the match. Terry Lamb joins us. A very determined Eastern Suburbs.
Yes, Graeme, they were very keen out there. I suppose because they were a few points out of the 5 and they just come 100 miles an hour.
8-7 scoreline, then Terry Lamb and Michael Hagan put a set piece together.
Yes, we're working well at training and everything, so all the training we've been doing, it's got to come out on the field.
Canterbury now starting to find some of the form that got them the grand final and that Winfield Cup in 1984.
Yeah, we're getting some of the injured players back, and we're coming back 100 miles an hour, and I think we'll get there in the grand final.
I'll leave it to you. $500 from Tui's. Congratulations.
Thanks, Graeme. I'll let thank Tui's too.
Okay, for all you people still waiting on the footy tab results, here's John Croucher.
$6,767. It's amazing what that odd number can do to the provisional dividends and the outright dividends for Footy Tab on Pick the Result. Well, it's